want my password to pay my bills, have to do it and pay it.
Okay, Jade.
All right, are you ready to go?
We are. There's six of us here. There's going to be one more that's coming a little late, but she's not a teacher. She's actually just our school psych.
Okay. Do the teachers have their individual devices with them?
They do.
A computer. Okay. So to go ahead and get started today, if you can have them log on to this website and sign on quickly.
Okay. You guys see it?
That is our digital attendance. So that would be great if we could start that way.
So,
And then if you can just let me know when everyone's finished.
It's right there. Just type that into your URL, and then the teaching code is right there. You guys have it all?
I have to do my email.
We need to do a session now.
Do they need to fill it out
It comes up automatically.
completely?
If you tab the session code, the name and stuff will come up.
It takes a couple. Like, my name didn't come up.
Mine, mine's gray.
No, but the session name. The session name came up, yeah. Okay, I can't.
You can't get in? What do you
Says
do?
the site can't be reached.
Oh, don't put www. Just do, so you're just doing learn.hmhco.com and / sign in.
Oh, the heck was that?
Try it again.
What's yours? No, it doesn't.
All right, did everybody get in?
Yeah. I'm almost there. I at least got something to come up.
All right, we're almost all there.
Perfect.
Mine's there. It says I'm logged in, but it didn't do anything.
Yeah, I
That's
think,
normal?
Jade, I think when you first log in, it just comes up to like an HMH Professional Services. Thank you for signing in.
Oh, yep, and then you can close that down once you've signed in. Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Yep.
Well, mine's not all together.
Okay, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, great. So welcome to the Big Day for Pre-K webinar. My name is Jade Mann. There's my email address if you'd like to take it down. I am a I have taught in the classroom. I used to teach kindergarten for several years, and I actually taught preschool, but I taught preschool motor gym. So I was more about the physical being of the child when I was in the preschool setting. So thank you for being here today. Can you give me a little bit of background about what you've explored so far on your own with the program?
Yeah, for the website, I read the teacher's manual.
Okay, so website, read the teacher's manual.
I looked at the first week.
Looked at the first unit.
Yeah, the 4 week thing.
You looked at the first 4-week plan.
All right, well, I think you should be able to lead the training, really. I mean, you've got a good base of understanding there. A lot of what we're going to talk about is just at us getting started, an overview, talk a lot about, the organization and the pedagogy behind the program. Please chime in with anything that you have, since it sounds like that you've dug in pretty deep, that I would love to hear what you have to share as well. Do you feel like all of the teachers have explored that much, or was that just one individual teacher that was speaking?
I think, so we have 3 classroom teachers here, so I believe all 3 classroom teachers have really explored the curriculum.
Well, I mean, okay.
Yeah, I have not explored the curriculum. I'm an administrator, and then so I have not looked at it as much as they have, of course. And then we have a parent coordinator that hasn't explored it, and then we have Speech Path that hasn't explored it. So they're just here to learn more about it.
Great, and that's what today is. It's getting started. It's really an overview of the program, what it is, the resources that you're going to have. Here are some of the outcomes that I would like for you to achieve by being here today. Understanding the big principles behind Big Day for Pre-K, previewing all of the materials, using the teacher guides to teach those STEAM-based learning experiences, plan lessons, and look at that online teacher space, and then be able to feel comfortable starting to create a structured and organized classroom for a successful year. So the agenda looks like this for today. We're going to introduce the program, look at the materials, navigate the teaching guide. Then we will have a break in between. I mean, if you're not feeling like you need to actually take a break, I might just have you do some reflection of what we've talked about, and then come back together and discuss it at the end. Then we'll visit the online tools, and there's just a section of starting a big year and what that's like. So at any time, if you have a question, we're a small group, so please feel free to just interrupt with your question. If you feel like you're going to have some discussion in the background, that's completely fine. If you feel like you might want to mute yourself if you feel like that's something that might be a little bit overwhelming to have those side conversations. I certainly don't mind them. I don't expect a completely silent audience, because I want you to be involved in looking at the different pieces of the curriculum. So those of you that have really dug a little bit deeper, especially so, can maybe share some of your insight, because you're coming from a more familiar place than I am. You know the school, all the participants that are going to be vested in this pre-K program. So you might have some side conversations about that, and I don't mind at all. I would just ask if you think that that's something you're going to do, you might want to mute. So, but anyway, just feel free to ask questions as you move along. I do not mind. I'm not going to save all the questions for the end or anything like that. So let's start with the 5 big principles in your participant guide that you have. That's after all of the pre-webinar stuff. That's on your first page. You should have a chart that has all of these big principles: social, emotional development, language development, integrated learning, responsive instruction, and partnership with families. So those are the big 5 principles that you will see woven throughout Big Day for Pre-K. But on that chart, you have a column that says that it is important because, and that has been started for you. So those are some things I'd like to ask you to reflect on today and be thinking about. Why are these big principles important? And where throughout the curriculum are these principles supported? So this area is for you to take notes. You're not going to get a grade on this. You don't have to turn it in to me. However, it's just a way to hold you accountable of thinking about the program while we're doing this webinar today. So I would encourage you to take some notes on that and to reflect on the importance of each of these 5 principles throughout Big Day for Pre-K. So here's a little bit about the team of authors. I'm not sure, being in early literacy, if you've heard of Ann Cunningham, but she is the lead author of the Big Day for Pre-K program, supported by Nicole Andrews, Maria Elena Arguelles, and Julie Washington. Both had a part in, or all had a part in the Big Day for Pre-K. So let's start with an overview of the themes. Big Day for Pre-K is a theme-based learning program, which you've already explored and probably know, but it is based on surrounded teaching on 8 themes. There are 4 weeks teaching of each of the 8 themes, which if you do the math there, that's 32 weeks of instruction. So that does leave some extra time to add any other pieces in, have field trips, things like that can be woven in that aren't necessarily a part of that 32-week curriculum. So you will notice that social emotional focus is a big part of each of the themes and is highlighted. There will be a social emotional focus for each theme. So you'll see this cooperation, kindness, responsibility, attention, initiative, self-awareness, curiosity, and persistence. And I'm not sure about your audience. I know when I taught in a more urban school, so a high population of lower socioeconomic status, a lot of free and reduced lunch students, and so they're coming to me, when they came to me for kindergarten, a lot of these students did not have some of these social emotional focus skills from their home life. So it was really important, I felt, that those social emotional focuses were interwoven. So I think it's fabulous that you have a curriculum, whether they are learning at home or not. It's still very, very important to develop that whole self of the child, and you're going to have a large part of that throughout the curriculum in Big Day for Pre-K. So those social emotional focuses are very, very important to intertwine into the curriculum, and Big Day does that for you. So within each theme, you also have a knowledge focus that guides what students are going to learn throughout each of the themes. You are also going to see that each week has a big idea. So we're going to be talking specifically about theme 3 throughout our time together today, and theme 3 is the Our Community theme. So the social emotional focus for that is responsibility. So, and then the big ideas are going to be different every week. So you're talking about community, but in week 1, you're going to be talking about places we go. Week 2, people we meet. Week 3, things that move. Week 4, going green, recycling, how the students can make a difference in their community. So all of these are related to a part of the community, but different aspects of it each week. So that's how it's broken up into the lesson. You're also going to see a lot of ideas for purposeful play. And you'll hear that again and again, that purposeful play. I don't know about you, how many of you think play is really important for that pre-K child in learning?
I think we all think it is, yes.
Absolutely. And I thought so in kindergarten too. I really thought that was an important piece. Unfortunately, when you get to the public schools here in kindergarten, they zap that play right out of that full day plan. So I was not able, when I was teaching full day K, was not able to include a lot of play pieces. And at that age, for developmentally, I feel very strongly that it's still important. So I know a lot of the public schools are more academic focused, so it's incredibly important that if they are getting that pre-K exposure, that they're getting to do that purposeful play and learning through play in the pre-K program. So you will see that discussed in here as well. Now let's talk a little bit about your resources that you got. I have a sample kit here, and I was unpacking it, and there's so many amazing things that really made me actually want to go back into the classroom and begin teaching. It's like one of those things as a teacher, you get really excited at the beginning of the year because you see school supplies. Well, the same thing happened to me when I was unpacking all of the resources for Big Day. I got really excited, and it really just reminded me a lot of my time teaching in the kindergarten classroom. So I almost called up my principal friend and said, hey, do you have a kindergarten opening? I was so excited about the material. So lots of good stuff in that Big Day for pre-K. You have your professional handbook, which will become really important for you to refer to help understand some of the pieces that you will get with the Big Day for pre-K. So a lot of further explanation there, and that may be what you were talking about when you said you looked at the handbook. Yeah, this is an important piece here to learn the program. Your technology portfolio just gives you an overview of your tech pieces. Your book sticks, these are your notes that are designed to be like stuck on the back of your book to kind of guide you and help with that dialogue while you're reading. However, like most curriculums, you are going to be able to use these pieces how you see fit. So even though I might say to you today, this is what these are designed to do, you may use them in a little bit different way, and you may choose not to use them at all. And that's certainly okay, right? I mean, that's the purpose of a curriculum, is you having your experience. You're the professional. You know exactly what you need as a teacher and what's helpful for your student. You're also going to have your audio books on CD, and some songs and things will be on there, but you'll be able to find those online as well. And then you have your Be Big in the Classroom chart that will help out and guide some of your themes. You're also going to have your big theme boxes. You're going to have a big theme box for themes 1 through 4 and another one for themes 1 through 5. Those are going to include all of your teaching guides, all of your books that correlate with it, your big books, your read aloud books. All of those will be included in each week. You should have those together bundled by theme. Then you're going to get your big learning box. Your big learning box is going to have all of your extra fun stuff, your curriculum cards, your letter vests, magnetic letters, math mats, all of your Clifford books, healthy foods. Oh, skipping ahead of myself there. So all of that fun stuff is going to be in your big learning box. And then your big wall chart box. You're going to have wall charts that correlate with each of the themes, and those are going to help develop those students' oral language. It will give you an opportunity to talk about these charts as they, how they're going to help you, guide you. Each one is, based on the theme, so you're going to be able to use it to guide that oral language, ask questions with students. And then the great thing when you look at the tech pieces later is there's also an interactive wall chart that you can project on. If you have an interactive screen, whiteboard, then you can project those interactive wall charts, and those are real fun. We'll take a look at those when we get there. And then books. There's all kinds of books, big books, little books, read aloud books. We know that the emerging children in books and print is so important. So that Big Day curriculum has all the books that you can possibly think of. Here is a guide for all of those books and how they correlate and where they correlate with each of the themes. So here you're going to have your themes up here. On the side here, you're going to see what the book's purpose are. So your big books have the audio component for the little books. So you'll have 4 little books that are identical to each of the big books. So students can take those little books and they can mimic or practice those things that they've been learning in whole group with you on the big books in a learning type center or a small group. You'll have your read aloud books, and it's going to have each of the read aloud books are identified here that correlate with each of the themes. your Technology Center books, nonfiction books, and your Clippers books. And then down here, you have downloadable books. You can tell you what your downloadable books are, your theme books, alphabet books, and then take-home books. There's some books that can be printed off and taken home to students to practice and show their parents what they've been doing at school. You're also going to have Teacher Space. That is the online component, and we'll really look at that a little bit more in detail later. This is just an overview. This is what your main screen looks like when you sign on. There's a lot of great things. I'm not going to go into detail until we can actually go live with what is included in the Teacher Space. From that same internet, you're also going to have what's called Family Space. This is going to allow you to post for the families. You know, you can personalize a letter for each week. It's also going to give them an overview of all of the things that you're learning. So if you're focusing on a letter, you're going to be able to customize that weekly. You're going to be able to communicate pretty much everything that you want to your families via this Family Space piece right here. Do your families have access to internet typically at home?
Most of them do.
Most of them do, okay. And the Family Space is a bilingual. Do you have Spanish-speaking students and families?
We do.
Okay, so you will see throughout that a lot of our materials are available in Spanish as well. So the Family Space, you'll see up here there's an English and a Spanish. It can be read or displayed in Spanish as well as English to keep all those families up to date. And that's not something you have to do. It just automatically translates it into the Spanish Family Space. Okay. You also are going to have these book flicks, and these are your interactive digital books. So these can be brought up on your interactive whiteboard to share with the students, and there are some digital components that go along with those books. So also with supporting English language learners, the program has it has teaching guides in Spanish if necessary, but it's also a lot of classroom materials are available in Spanish, and family resources are available in that Spanish. So there's a lot of guidance built into the program that just supports English language learners, and we'll talk about and see that when we go through an actual teacher's guide. So exploring a theme. Like I said earlier, we are going to be exploring the Our Community theme when we talk today. And the children are learning about the role of the community in their lives and the importance of good citizenship. And your social emotional focus, like we said earlier, is responsibility. A lot of these themes, I don't know what program you had before, but I'm sure that these themes are very similar. They're very common themes that you see in curriculum. They're actually very similar to some of the themes that transfer over that I have seen in kindergarten program themes. You know, they do differ a little bit, and so they're not getting the exposure to the exact same things, but there are similar things that they're being exposed to, which is great because these are important themes, and these are things that they need to have exposure to over and over. Okay, so week 3 is things that move, and that's the one that we're going to be talking about as well. So welcome to the theme. Each theme has a teaching guide, and if you have that week 3 teaching guide in front of you, feel free to open it up and look at it. My screen doesn't exactly project exactly what's in that teaching guide, so this welcome letter is in the teaching guide, but when I get any of the very next page may not be necessarily something that's the very next page in the letter. These are just pieces that I'm highlighting on my PowerPoint. So since you've had a chance to look, is this the teacher guides you've had a chance to look at?
No, I looked at the first one.
They looked at theme 1. They didn't look at theme 3 yet.
Right, and I wouldn't have expected them to. I just meant in general, you know, the teaching guide versus like the professional handbook. So, okay, so it's going to have this welcome letter here, and then there's going to be a theme overview, talking about the social emotional focus, engaging families and community. There's some pieces in there at the beginning about that. And then it really focuses on those theme-based learning centers. You'll also notice, and I don't have that up here, and I don't know if you have it in your, if you have it out, but you will notice that there are schedules in the beginning of each of the theme books, and there's a daily schedule for full day and a daily schedule for half day. And we'll look at that in a little bit, but really the main difference is that the full day schedule, they both have all three big experiences. So the program is built on big experiences. The only difference you're going to see is in important structures is full day has 2 learning center opportunities, and the half day only does 1 learning center opportunity. So that's a big difference. And then there's like the little things that make up the time difference, but that's the big difference between the 2 schedules if you have that in front of you and you happen to notice that. So these are going to overview all of the content materials that you should have for that particular theme as well. And then you see here it will overview each of the weeks. So for week 3, which is the one that's kind of being highlighted that I'm highlighting for you here today, that's the things we move. As you said, it's going to give you, or as I said earlier, it's going to give you the key concepts, the theme vocabulary, things that move. And then over here is highlighting the social emotional focus of responsibility. So again, we talked about that a little bit earlier. So responsibility in the classroom. So your role as the teacher is to share concrete examples of responsibility in the classroom. So can someone share with me what an example of teaching responsibility would look like in a pre-K classroom?
Jobs or cleaning up after themselves.
Absolutely, having jobs, cleaning up after yourself. Anything else you want to mention?
What did you say? Line leader. Oh, like a line leader, that's a classroom job. Yeah.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And then there's just a few more things that are mentioned here. Handling books, so, getting books for the teacher, that would be considered a job, maybe like a teacher assistant or something. And, taking care of the materials and the toys in the classroom, so being responsible with materials. And then in the curriculum, it really focuses on recycling and reusing things that don't belong in the trash. And obviously that's an option for you. You may not be big on that. So that's not something you necessarily have to highlight, but it's in there if you want it. And then there's going to be examples of positive feedback you can give students when they're showing responsibility in the classroom. And I'm sure some of these things, especially if you've been teaching pre-K for a while, are things that you already know. But these are specific to the responsibility. So you're a really great helper, thank you, or I like the way you're cleaning up after snack, good listening, thanks for reminding us to recycle. So you'll see those little positive feedback in all of the theme overviews. Okay, there's also a lot of opportunities to engage families in the community. So in each theme, you're going to have some activities that are suggested for home to school. And you may not be able to see this because it's kind of small, but I will highlight it for you. This makes it a little bit bigger. So it's just some suggestions. These you can either do in a class as projects, so have a community album, ask caregivers to take a photo of favorite places their family visits in the community, such as a park or ice cream shop. Have them write a few sentences telling what the family enjoys doing there. Place the photos and descriptions in an album for the class to enjoy. So that's an example of including and inviting families to engage in these themes. Now, these are things that you can ask them to do at home and just to keep at home, or to do as an assignment and actually bring it into the classroom. So there's going to be ideas for that, for the home to school connection. And then as far as the school to home connection, it's all about keeping families informed and involved. So you can, that's part of sharing that family space web page, suggestions for what families can do at home with their students, And then there's Friday take-homes. Each Friday, children are going to come home with unique creations that they've done throughout the week to share with families. So there's some suggestions for ways that families can build upon those experiences. So week 1, the suggestion is a community mural. So when they take home sections of the mural, they can encourage families to just talk about with their children what they did. So simple things like that, and just recommendations of ways to involve the families from school to home. There's also going to be recommendations in each theme for field trips, the ways to expand children's real-world connections. And I know visiting a firehouse always seems to be a big pre-K experience. I know when I was teaching preschool that they did that every year. And then also when I taught kindergarten, we actually had a fire truck come to us to the school, and we explored the fire truck versus going to the actual firehouse. Sometimes that's a lot easier when you're herding 30 kindergartners and no classroom assistant like I was to have the fire truck come to you. So some other suggestions are to tour the neighborhood. If your school is in a neighborhood, take a ride around town or take a nature walk. So just suggestions. Other suggestions are going to be for classroom visitors. What kind of classroom visitors could you have that relate to that community theme? So Jobs Week, having a community night, choosing an evening and have children visit the classroom with family members that are special to them, and showing those family members around the classroom and some of the projects that they're working on. So also inviting members of the community that are important to the child into the classroom to maybe just read to the class, and kind of showing the students, why literacy is important for everyone. So again, these are just suggestions to help correlate with the curriculum and the big theme. Any questions about that? What I've talked about so far?
No.
Okay, seems pretty straightforward, I know. So then you're going to have, here's an introduction to some of the theme-based learning centers. So do some of these look familiar from other years that you've taught pre-K?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are some of these same learning centers that you've done before?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah.
So you're going to be pretty familiar with this. Now, remember, Big Day for Pre-K is that comprehensive program. So not only is it focusing on literacy, but it's also got your math and your science. And so all of that is intertwined and interconnected learning throughout. So that's why you're going to see those extra stations in there as well. Now, obviously, you're probably not going to be able to correlate that many learning centers at once, but this is just an overview of the type of centers that you're going to see throughout the program. So in those theme guides, you're going to have learning objectives to help you prepare for the centers, and then you're going to have learning centers at a glance before you start your theme. So it will give you a little bit more information about each of the learning centers that are recommended, and then some teacher wraparound support to help you and guide you in setting up those centers. You will also see these bubbles next to the learning centers, and this is just specific recommendations of ways of talk that teachers can have with students while they're in each of their centers to help them expand on their oral language development and talking about what they're doing in those learning centers and understanding, what are they learning? And you can even take that time to tie it to that responsibility. What are they doing in their learning center that ties back to that social emotional focus as well? that is a little bit bigger. So one of the examples here is, the child might say, I'm making streets. And so you're just going to help them expand on that. I see that. You're making streets with painted marbles. What are you going to do next? Child, I'm going to get a car. You can use your car to drive on the streets that you made. So just an example, I'm sure you're very familiar with this type of talk, having taught pre-K before. It's just about restating and expanding their talk. Okay, next you're going to see your planner for your big week. So every week is planned out for you. It has everything that you need. It's going to highlight all of your materials, has your big ideas, knowledge focus, social emotional focus, all of your vocabulary words, and your vocabulary words are chunked out on theme words, story words, math words, social study words, and science words. So you have some categories out for you. Over here you have each of your pieces of instruction. So each subject, your phonological awareness, alphabet knowledge, concepts of print, emergent writing, oral language, mathematics, and content areas. So these are your social studies or science areas that are going to connect to the learning. Okay, you see these highlighted here are your small groups and what's happening and recommended for small groups. So there are recommended small groups and intervention groups throughout if they are needed. Here's all the literature outlined for you that you're going to need for the week. Here's all the learning centers on one page and all of your technology listed on one page. So all of that's there for you. So what is in a big day? What makes up a big day? Number one, big experiences. These big experiences are your time together I would call it circle time, but it's either circle time or story time. Those are your big experiences. And there's going to be 3 of those a day. And that's where all of your teacher guided instruction is going to take place. So each of these times are 15 to 20 minutes each. Obviously, we know our little people have small attention spans, so we can't keep them together for much longer than that. We've got to get them doing something hands-on. Other points or other pieces of big day are your small group instruction. So that's when you're going to get to work with your students at their individual need in small group and making sure that mastery is met. And then there's learning centers where they get to independently explore. Okay, so not only do you have a weekly planner, you also have a daily planner that's going to give you your materials, your day at a glance with your materials, your 3 big experiences, circle time, story time, circle time again, your small group instruction, and small group intervention if needed. You will notice a little alarm clock in the curriculum that says full day. Those are there because it's something that you might want to only include in full day instruction because you have more time. So that's why those alarm clocks say full day. They're recommended for full day when you have more time to do that. So down here for learning centers, that one-to-one follow-up, you may not have time to do that in the half day. Same with the intervention that has a little clock, if you notice back there. Okay, scheduling your day. Here is a look at a sample full day schedule. So your 3 big experiences are highlighted in bold there. Obviously, you don't have to use this schedule, and your schedule is going to differ based on your individual needs, but it's just a recommended schedule and a way to put it out in writing where you see those big experiences. Okay, so here you see in full day, you've got your 2 learning centers. One is learning centers and intervention, and one is learning centers and small group. And then here's an example of a half-day schedule. You still have your big learning experiences, or your 3 big experiences. I didn't mean to jump forward so quickly, but why not? Okay, so daily lessons, day at a glance, 3 big experiences, instruction for small group. Let's go ahead and look at that first big experience for theme 3 in circle time. In your participant handouts, you should have a copy of a circle time and a story time. Okay, so you can see, if you can't see it very well here on my projection, then you can look at it in your participant handout. So it gives you everything that you can possibly need for teacher instruction. So you're going to see what are we learning today in each of the pieces that they're learning. So these would be like your I can statements. So I can cooperate and play with others. I can identify the letter H. I can use complete sentences. I can put numbers in order. Down here, social studies and fine arts gets a little, your I can statements don't make as much sense. I can transport people, not so much, but up here those I can statements really fit. You will see here those highlighted pieces in red it just highlights what they're learning again. So each of the objectives, letter sounds, numerical order. So each of these pieces over here are identified over here where it's happening in the instruction. Okay, there's also some observation recommendations. So you'll see one of the informal assessments is just observation, right? Anecdotal notes, and there's observation lists. So it's giving the teacher a recommendation of what to observe. So observe whether children can recognize a target sound. And this can just be as simple also as, you as you're teaching, recognizing if the student does this. So just that informal assessment. Here's your daily math activity. And then you're always going to have that English language development bubbles are going to be throughout instruction. So it's just going to be a suggestion for an activity that would be good for your English language learners. Okay, alphabet knowledge. What is that main alphabet knowledge principle that's being learned? The social emotional skill. There's an activity here to build on that. It's recommended for full day. And then music and movement. So what's your the recommendation for, this can be transition time or just a minute. I know I used to just do, movement time in between activities. You can just tell if students are starting to zone out. You're trying to keep them in a small group. Their little attention spans are just, so getting to move around, one of my favorite songs we used to play, I don't know if you played it, is Tootie Ta. Kids love Tootie Ta. Get them involved and moving. But some of these songs here are more related to the curriculum. So working hard is curriculum related. Okay, over here on this side of the teacher edition recommendations, you have your chart for one-to-one follow-up. So there's suggested to provide intervention if you notice that a child is not responding the way that you want them to. So if a child needs support recognizing that sound, then what can you do? There's also going to be a modifications box here for 3-year-olds, students that have special needs, and then enrichment. So these are all things that students can do or that you can help modify that curriculum. Will you have many 3-year-olds, or is this just a 4-year-old program?
More 4-year-olds, but we do have 3-year-olds intermixed with the 4-year-olds.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, so let's look at the story time, and I want you to, since you have your participant guides, if you have them there with you, I want you to put them next to each other, the story time and the circle time, and tell me about the similarities you see between those two big experiences. What's the same between circle time and story time?
They both have the I can statements.
They both have those what are we learning I can statements. What else?
Ways to observe them.
They both have ways to observe the students.
Great, thanks.
ELL development.
Yep, they both have those ELL bubbles. Great.
Vocabulary, words in both.
Vocabulary words in both.
And those vocabulary words are specific to what you're learning, but they both have that vocab highlighted. Yes.
Social emotional, oral language, physical development.
Can you hear?
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Social emotional, oral language, and physical development are both on there.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay, so let's now think about what are the differences that you see between the two big experiences.
One focuses on phonological awareness, the other one doesn't. One focuses on comprehension and emergent writing, and the other doesn't. Less vocabulary in the story time. Sorry, yeah.
thank you for participating there. I just wanted you to kind of reflect on what's the same in each of your big experiences and then what's different. Obviously, you know, it's going to be different because, one, your circle time is focusing on skills, you know, isolated skills. So, you know, introducing the letter H, listening for sounds, those are isolated skills. When you're coming over to story time, that's when you are introducing more of those story-related skills that have to do with emergent literacy. And this is the time you could also always integrate. You know, you've already had your circle time. It can integrate in the book, you know, where can you find words that start with that letter H that we talked about in circle time. So that story time really allows for that integration there. Okay, so during story time is where you're going to bring in those book sticks. Remember, those are guides for teachers, and you have the ability to actually like stick them on the back of the book while you're reading it, so you can see it, but the students don't see it. But this is just providing good questions to ask kiddos on their first read, during repeated reads, and activities that you can do. So finding the cat on each spread, name the objects that Carlo counts, and count the items allowed together. Now, those are all things that you would probably think of on your own, but you don't have to. They're right there for you. So you don't have to, you know, use all of your brain power to come up with what are we going to talk about during story time. It's right there for you. Okay, so Big Day for Pre-K really uses the dialogic reading with those book sticks. Does anybody know anything about dialogic reading?
Nope, we're gonna learn something.
Nope, we're going to learn something about it, I bet.
Okay, so dialogic reading is really just a way to, when you are discussing the book, that you are using, you're increasing the dialogue with your students and you're getting them to speak more. So a lot of oral language development, and using those book sticks will help guide you with that. So dialogic reading is, first you're going to prompt a child, such as when you're reading, what is this? Or what is that? And they may respond with something like, you know, hopefully if it's a bear, they're going to say that is a bear. And so you're going to evaluate whether or not that's a correct response. If it's a correct response, if it's not a correct response, you would correct them. If it is a correct response, then how can you expand and increase that, okay, yeah, it's a bear, but what else can you tell me? So what other kind of question can you ask to expand the dialogue about the bear?
What do you see the bear doing?
Great. What is the bear doing? Great example. What else?
How is the bear feeling?
How is the bear feeling? And that's a stretch question, right? That's using lots of skills. That's, you know, thinking about what they're thinking. You can provide some extra descriptives like, yes, that's a bear. That is a big brown bear. So now it's not just a bear, it's a big brown bear. And then you want to repeat it. What is it? And see what the child says. Will they mimic your expansive, will they say big brown bear, or are they just going to say bear again? So just a way, again, to develop that oral language. So prompt, evaluate, expand, repeat. But again, this is not...
I think she muted herself. I didn't touch it.
Yeah.
See how long it takes her to realize she can't hear us.
Can she hear us? We just can't.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Can you type? Sometimes you can type stuff.
Can we poke her? Like, here, so we put it that way. Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, yeah, there's donuts there.
Yeah.
Would you like some? I'll take it. A little sugar. No, Sarah. I don't think it's Spring Valley.
It is Spring Valley.
Oh, you could have asked me. Yeah.
not necessarily something you're going to have to because
Hello? I don't know. Did you mute yourself?
Well, I got a message that says that something like there was connectivity issues, but I checked my internet and it's not on my end, so I don't know if it was WebEx back. I don't know. We're back, so let's just.
Okay. We thought you muted yourself, and we're like, oh.
I thought you muted yourself. No, it looks like it just went offline. That WebEx platform went offline there for a minute. So I apologize. We're back. I don't think you missed a lot. We're just talking about, or I was talking to myself apparently, about the many different options or opportunities to read within Big Day. So read aloud, shared reading. Shared reading is huge in preschool, interactive online reading, and we'll take a look a little bit how you can do that with the Flicks. And then at-home reading, so you can print books off and send them home. So Big Day for Pre-K really does a great job of meeting all the needs of all learners. So you're going to see this one-to-one follow-up as a way that you're going to be able to meet the needs of all learners. The modifications, we talked about that. There are lesson plans for small group instruction. And that small group instruction is really just reviewing what you talked about, and it's expanding on and reviewing what you talked about in whole group. There's going to be observations onto, recommendations to observe and what to do if they're not quite getting it. And then, based on that small group or even your big experience time, some students might need that small group intervention. And that's going to be that extra, obviously, half day you're going to have a hard time doing that time-wise, but maybe full day gives you a little bit more time to do intervention, which is just reiterating the skills that maybe certain students just aren't quite grasping. So there's going to be activities and lesson ideas for that in there. Here they are a little bit bigger. So really, this modification is just extra instruction, or providing extra scaffolding for these students. Okay? All right. So targeting small groups, here is a large look at what that looks like. So you can see review the skill that you talked about in whole group, model again, so you're always going to want to model, and then practice that skill. Okay. So let's review. So far, we have talked about social emotional focus, engaging families and community, circle time, story time, modifications, and learning centers. How are we doing? Do you feel like you need a break to use the restroom, do a drink, anything like that? Or would you like to power through?
Let's power through. They'll take a little restroom break if they need one.
Okay. So are there any questions or anything that we've talked about so far?
Not yet. I know that we have some questions probably for the end.
Okay.
Yeah, so far so good.
Great. So welcome back. Let's pretend like you took a break.
You need a break?
Yeah, do you need a break?
How does your break? No, I'm good.
Okay.
How was your little 2-second break? Everybody feel relaxed?
We feel very refreshed.
Oh, great.
They're eating donuts, so that's a good thing.
Oh, well, you can't, you don't need a break from eating donuts. Here you go.
That's right.
I've had my one before.
Okay, so before we get into the technology in the program, do you mind sharing what role technology plays in your pre-K classroom?
A big role. We have a smart board. It's not a smart board.
It's an Epson interactive projector.
For our circle time, and then we have iPads in the classroom. We don't have computers though for them.
No, the teachers have their own laptop, but the kids don't have computers. They have iPads.
Now, do they have one-to-one iPads or just like a few per class?
Just
like
a few, but they're getting more.
Are we?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, so they have a few iPads.
Okay, great. Good to know. Thank you for sharing. I think most of our interactivity and technology is for teaching versus, students getting on and doing things anyway. So that's not that big of a deal. So your technology components are going to be, one, you have your Teacher Space homepage. And there's so many different things you can do in here, and we're going to talk about that in more detail. But you can enroll, yeah, I'm going to go live for this. I'm not going to show all these on here. So do you have that initial login, or have you set up your login for Teacher Space?
Yeah. Yeah, the 3 teachers that are teaching this curriculum have the login.
Okay, so, and everybody's been on it?
Yes. Do you want them to log in now?
Not necessarily. I'm just going to kind of do an overview and show things. So if they want to and follow along, that's great. But sometimes it's easier just to watch me, and then that way you're able to kind of absorb it. So when they log in independently, I know I asked for them to bring devices, and what I might have them do is go ahead and sign in, and then as I talk about a piece, maybe have them explore a little bit on it. So not necessarily follow along with me, but after I talk about it, I will give them a few seconds to look at theirs. Does that make sense?
Yes, that sounds good.
Okay, so yeah, if you want to go ahead and log on to your Teacher Space. And just let me know when you're logged in. I'm going to make sure I'm...
Can you share your username and password with Jen?
Trying to think,
One thing I have noticed, and let me know if it's the same over you, is that it's kind of slow.
I just, I'm sure it wasn't there.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Yep.
Have any of you noticed being slow going back and forth between pieces at all?
No.
They say no, they haven't noticed that.
Great. I'm glad to hear that, because that must mean it's something on my end. I'm not sure what, but hopefully that gets fixed, because it's kind of frustrating, especially when I'm trying to show you all something and I click on it and it's like, doo-doo-doo. Well, you have lots of time to eat donuts in between if that's the case. So, okay, let's take a look at Teacher Space. It's going to, up here in the left-hand corner, you set up, like when you first got on here, did you set up like when your school year started, when it ended, how many days a week you're teaching? Have you done any of that yet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. So you should have, it's going to display the date. You can switch between themes here, and when you go to the theme, it will bring it up. You can customize the week, and that's probably what you did when you first signed up. But if you click on it, if you click on Customize the Week, this is going to break down your whole lesson plan for you. And so you can print this out in a PDF. So if you just want a PDF of what your lesson is going to look like, let's see what that looks like here. I may pick and choose what I click on, since mine seems to want to take forever, because we are going to be here forever. I click on everything. Okay, so this puts that lesson plan as is into like a PDF.
Okay, all right.
So this is the lesson plan. So this would be great for subs that you have it all ready to go. You just have to go in there and print it out, and it has all the skills on it. It has your learning centers. You can even do reflection notes on here. But the online component lets you customize that. So you can customize this, and you have to rename it first. So let's say you're going to do a field trip this week, or you are going to have a special visitor, so you might not be able to do the instruction as is. So I have actually done my own. I've created one called Nature Walk, and let me see if I can pull that one up here. Where are my customized plans? We're in customize, so I don't want to leave here quite yet. So anyway, so if I want to customize, I can click the customize. I just have to rename it. So, you can just even call it modified day 1 or something like that. Save it. Okay, there. That's nice.
I bet it is because it kicked me off, and then I got back on. I thought we're just kind of, yeah.
Okay, so now that I have done that, I can go in here and click on these.
So, okay, I'm signed out. You.
Do you need me to wait for you, or is everything? Okay, I just want to make sure. So now you can modify each of these days. So you can delete. So if the skill, the oral, you can delete each of these skills here if you want. And then you can add an objective. So alphabet principle, and I'm going to identify letter sounds. So you can add all of that. You can come up here and edit the schedule, what's going to happen in the circle time, the name, done. You can edit this. You can really edit anything. I don't really need to go through and show you. The idea is that you
can be like, excuse me, sorry, so you can edit it to be like transition, you can add a transition, you can add like snack time to it, just for like purposes of turning it into our administration.
Sure, yeah. If you want to go in here and edit what that says, then it'll really let you edit anything. So you can absolutely just for the purposes of adding something, you can do that. So you would edit the whole group. The way you would probably do that is by editing the whole group one and adding it here at the very bottom. Because it's not necessarily going to be listed as an objective.
Right.
So you wouldn't add it here as an objective. You would have to edit this, like this part, to do that. So don't forget, obviously, if you're editing, to save. You can switch between days here. Oh, it's going to ask me if I want to save before I switch between days. So here's my daily view. Yes, I want to save. I don't even know what I did to save it, but okay. Oh, I deleted some. All right. So we're waiting. If you can see down here, it says waiting, waiting. So, okay. So that is your, let's go back to home. That is editing your.
And just
email PDF edit.
PDF share plan.
Yeah, share plan.
Yeah, so if you share your plan,
just email to me.
one day we will be able to see what this plan looks like.
Here, let me see what it does here.
Yeah, what does it do? Did it ask for an email?
Customize plan. Mine doesn't give me the share plan option.
Oh, it doesn't give you a share
It
plan?
is customize plan, print, and PDF.
Yeah.
I need to ask her why hers says.
So yours, Jade,
Yes.
Mine
is there?
Oh, when you go into customize it?
Oh, that's what it says, share.
Oh, wait, let's see.
We're trying to figure out.
Hers it is, yeah.
No, go for it. I want you to be able to figure this out while you're on the phone with me. So.
Okay, so yeah, yours says share plan, but the teachers are saying they can't see that on theirs.
Oh, okay.
Is that when you customize it, then it comes up?
Yeah, you have to click to customize it first.
Oh.
Okay, and then when you share, can you share, like, how do you share it, through email, or can we share
Well,
it?
that's what I'm trying to determine, but it doesn't want me to know.
Mine's slow too, so.
I do know that they are doing some work on the back end. They've been working on the platform, so that is maybe what slows it down. But I'm going to check on that with someone so I know exactly why it's being slow. Okay, so.
Oh, she's got all those people.
I got all those people.
Okay, so, one of the teachers got in there and she said she can see another teacher's name, but she can't see, so we have 3 preschool teachers.
Mhm.
So she can see one preschool teacher's name, but she can't see the other.
And they are all enrolled in there now. Like they have their screen, they have theirs set up and tied to the school.
Yeah.
And you have your profile filled out with your name and everything.
Okay, share plan, mine comes up.
Yeah, they're all logged in, so.
Just Melissa Preston is the only one I can see.
So
Okay.
two of my teachers can see each other, but you know what? Okay, so I wonder if this is the issue. When we purchased this program, we purchased 2 licenses, so those 2 teachers can see each other, and then we purchased a separate license because we got a new preschool grant, and that teacher can see what you're seeing. She can see all those weird names.
Okay, I'm going to look into this for you. Let me see, purchase 2.
Oh, yeah.
So then when you got a grant, how many more licenses did you purchase?
We just we purchased 2 together, and then like 3 weeks later we purchased one by itself. So we have 3 licenses, but they were purchased at 2 different times.
Okay. And the 2 together, they can see each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see you.
Yes.
I spy with my little eye. Okay. And she cannot see them, but she has all the people I have. Do the other
She can see Elmo Long and Dollar Store and.
which who are these people? I don't even know who these people are.
Dollar Store is, but I don't know.
I mean, okay. So can the other 2 see all these people or just each other?
Just each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Just each other.
Do you want them to share you too?
Okay, I'm writing this down, so give me just a minute, please.
You don't want to do a share with you, not even each other.
Yeah. Charge you
How much charge?
on your computer. Can I borrow your PowerPoint?
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking
I
about?
have a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
I wrote that down, and I'm going to follow up on that for you and see
No, if it's
what's going on and if we can't get that fixed, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, let's go back to the home page and talk about some of these other features here. Maybe it's just the slowness. Man, that is one thing. I do not have patience for slow technology. I don't know why. I just can't.
Are you in a home office?
I am.
Yeah.
And that could be it, but I have I'm on Wi-Fi. I'm not hardwired or anything, but I'm probably not on any different Wi-Fi than you're connected to, unless your teachers are hardwired.
No, we're not hard. We're on Wi-Fi too.
Yeah, so I don't see. Anyway, okay. Moving on. So here's Monday at a glance. You're just gonna have each of your big experiences. You can customize the day. Oh, I need to just stop clicking into things and just telling you about them. You can customize the day. Sorry. That's just gonna take you back to that same view, which we're going to exit out of.
Yeah.
I am teaching the social emotional skill for today is patience. And so I purposely embedded this slow web in here to teach you patience.
Like there's the learning centers, it tells you like what to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I can print them and laminate them and then keep them from year to year and just put them in the center. So anybody that wants
I'm glad to hear great conversations about the program while we're waiting, though. That really makes me happy. I'd be happier if my computer were obeying, but
So while we're waiting too, the share option, when you get that figured out, I'm wondering if there's any possible way of getting me in there as their principal so that they can share their lesson plans with me.
okay, let me see. Principal.
That's another thing I would like to see if you can they add an email address in there or something like that.
Share with. Okay. All right. I will ask that for you. Okay. So it's broken it out by any digital teaching materials that you will need for this Monday. You can access by clicking on this. Now, it has this week's downloadable. So if there's anything you may not need to download any of these because you already have them. So you have a book 6, but if you want to access a digital book 6, then you can. The Circle Time Observation Guide, you have access to that through print materials, but it's just giving you the ability to download all of these things as well. Like your math mat, you already have that. You don't need to download it. But it's just really telling you here you have the capability to do that. If you don't have some of the Spanish materials, then you can download some of them. If you don't have them in print, they're available to be downloaded here. So you can browse all of these. Up here, you're going to see your class management. So this is where you would create a class and add any of the students in your class. And then if you have added any data for the formal observation, the ECI that we're going to talk about, then it will be in your class data. So have you gone as far as to add your class up here?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
If you have two classes, let's say a morning and an afternoon class,
Uh-huh.
how do you just create the two classes and then add students into each through the class management option?
Yeah, you could just set you would just set them up as two different classes.
Like where it says create new class,
Okay.
probably. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You create those classes. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then, so I went ahead and I went ahead and added my 3 kids in here. I have 3 kids. They're 14, 11, and 8, but I made all of their birth years so that they're in preschool. So if I view the class data, I've got all 3 of my kids in here, and you can print the roster, remove them, edit. You can view their folder. What that's going to tell me is if I have anything in here. So as you can see in their folder, this is all of their, if you have put any of their digital assessments in digitally. And I went ahead and I entered some information for the Scholastic Early Childhood Inventory, which we're going to talk about next, but it is the one formal assessment that comes along with the program. And I've entered information for Claire for the beginning of the year. And so these are, which you'll see, these are all included on your path to readiness, determining whether or not the skills are emergent, beginning, developed, and progressing, or no, pre-emerging. So here I have put in the skills based off of her early childhood inventory. And so you can see what she has scored for each of those categories. And it tells them what they are here: pre-emergent, beginning, emerging, and developed. Obviously, our goal is to get all students to the developed in all categories by the end of pre-K with us. And then down here, you're going to see, you can have a Spanish view, or it's going to show what it would look like filled out for what they scored in each of the categories. So oral language development, here's the goal was 4, and here's what she scored. And so the goals are going to remain the same throughout the year, but it will be updated as you enter the information for the student. Okay, and this is how you would manage your class here, change the setup of it, and then add a student, and then print class roster.
So when you're doing the assessment, it automatically goes to the student when you go under the early childhood inventory. If you fill in that information, then it automatically goes to the students you've created if you choose them. Are they in your inventory?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sorry, so like when you do the assessment, it's under the early childhood inventory piece.
Correct.
And then they automatically go individualized, like once you choose the child that you're assessing, so they automatically go to that folder.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't have to add anything to that folder. If you enter your assessment here online,
Right there in that piece. Okay.
then it automatically will appear in that child's folder.
Okay.
Is that something you have to do on your end? I'm sorry?
I have a question with managing the classroom again.
Sure.
It asks for parents' email. If we don't have that, should we like put a sign-up list or ask them during
Home visits.
home visits?
It
what
lets
their
you sign them
email?
up without it though. So
Right.
I did my class
Yeah, you
without.
don't need it, but if it's, yes, I mean, I think it's definitely important to ask. I think it's even outside of the program, I think it's important to ask, parents, do they have an email, and do they, are they open to receiving communication from you on that email? I know it also provides not only just to have another way to contact them, but even when you're sending out notes and reminders, it's nice to be able to just send out an email versus a note. So if you get feedback from all of your parents on are you okay receiving announcements or notes via email, then you don't have to send print correspondence home if you get that okay from them.
The family portion of it then, like in order to share that, I understand it that you give them the classroom name, you create a different name, and a different password, and they go to the website, and they plug all that in, and they only see the family portion of the website, correct?
Correct.
So then you don't necessarily need their email on there, because.
No. You don't need their email, no. It's not something that's required for this program. I was just saying why it's nice in general to have.
Right. But I mean, like, in order for them to,
Nope.
like, we share our pages on our, like, newsletters and stuff, and I was creating mine, and I just gave them the website, and then the username and the password, that's all you do, so that's all.
That's all you do.
And
Yes.
that's the same website that we use on our sign-in page, right?
But it's a different name, like, you have a different name for the family
Right.
one, that's what I was
Okay.
asking, because
Yeah.
otherwise they'll see everything else,
Right.
right?
Okay.
You don't want them to see everything
Yeah.
else, right?
They're not, they're not going to see the assessments or anything that you see. The family space is different than the teacher space. It doesn't even have, if I could get home and show you, I'm really sorry that mine is this slow. I don't know what the problem is. I mean, I did find out yesterday that we are having issues with the teacher space, and they are actively working on it. So I'm guessing that is what the problem is, but you're not having this problem. So that makes me wonder.
One of the teachers got like booted out for a minute, but then she logged right back in, so.
I'm going to try to connect to another one. Okay. So over here for families, now that we're talking about family space for a minute, over here for families is how you're going to customize what families would see. So here's a personal message, and you would obviously, you can update this, and it will update what the families see. If you can go quickly, if you go to family space, it's going to show you this is exactly what your families are going to see.
That's nice,
Yeah, and so like you can just type stuff in there, right? Like if you wanted to give them a note or like a person.
You have your family letter, your message from Jade Mann is what you can customize. Here, let's look at this. Let's go back here. If you choose update, oh wait, this personal message.
Yeah.
I saw that, that's why I thought there was more that you could,
Okay.
like you can't.
Here's the message that can
Don't have to do this.
be updated here. So any announcements or things that you want them to see to change will have to be added there. The rest of this is going to correlate with what you are learning that week. So great books to read at home, so examples of books they can check out from the library that kind of, there's a downloadable book that they can get to. Here's some links to family resources that are printable for them. And then kindergarten readiness indicators and the book flick. So parents have access to this book flicks right here. You also have access to it. So these are books that you can project on your interactive whiteboard. So we can start here. You can watch the story. So it's kind of like a digital animation of the story. Oh, wait. Kevin? Owen had a fuzzy yellow blouse. All right, we're not going to watch this whole one. You can do that on your own, but there'll be an animation. You can do the read along. Will be off and on. Read the book.
Yeah.
We all that at school. So that's a little bit about the book flicks. I'm going to X out of that.
Yeah, right. I think she's gonna
Anecdotal records.
show it to.
So you need a book, but you need the book, or you can do it.
Okay. Any other questions about family space right now?
The one thing that we really want, I wonder if Hope Mifflin is going to ever develop the family space so you can upload photos.
Okay, let me.
Do you know if that's ever going to be in the works?
I honestly don't. I mean, I can ask.
Okay, that would be nice.
Even the photos for anecdotal records, uploading it there too, like Lexi just said, like.
Yeah, and anecdotal records, like using, it would be nice if we could use this as a digital portfolio for each child. Can you upload pictures or documents under the anecdotal records?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, you just type in here what.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is just going to be entering your results. So when you enter your results, let's look at that. I think that's just for the SECI. I think you can only, hold on, I'm still writing notes from what you said, yeah. So the only notes here, this is to be able to fill out the early childhood, but your anecdotal rep notes, last updated, so I haven't updated here. So yeah, it's just print.
No.
It's just typing. There's no option to upload.
Okay. That would be interesting to see if that would ever come.
Like an online portfolio.
Your platform.
Now, what you can do in the meantime, I suppose, is if you have another source that you're using for that and you wanted families to see it, you could put a link in that family section to the other, whatever other source you're using for that in family space, and they could link out to it.
You could share like a Google document?
Well,
Or,
no, like a photo album, so you have
Oh.
a separate photo album for
It's
whatever
not like
Yeah.
on Dojo, it's like,
Yeah.
it looks like Facebook, it's
right.
Yeah.
pictures.
Okay.
I mean, you could put the link in there.
Yeah, you could, right.
Okay.
So just a suggestion, a way to get around that, since you don't really, I mean,
And then I have one more question, Jade. So because we have a parent coordinator, the parent coordinator isn't going to be teaching the students, but it would be nice if she would be offered a login, a username and password for teacher space and family space so that she could log in. Because what we're finding is we wanted to share a login so she could get in, but if she's in and the other teacher's in, they get booted out.
okay.
And I was told by, remind me who my salesperson is.
I have to remind myself who your salesperson is. I'm sorry, it's busy season. I've worked with so many schools. I don't even know. Let me look real fast. I'll tell you here in just
Okay, well, the sales lady that I work with, I asked her that question, and she said, no, only one username and login comes with a curriculum. But my gosh, we spend almost $3,000 per teacher. It seems like at least they could give us a username and password for our parent coordinator.
Okay. Yeah, so let's see. I mean, I will ask. I don't know. I wonder if you have one. I don't see one listed here.
I do. I'm trying to find it too. Let's see here.
I don't know why her name is not. Usually her name is listed right here in all of my stuff. I mean, there's Amanda, but she's see right here, there's no one listed in my email for her. But I need,
let me get it just a minute. I just have to find it.
Angie Rasmussen? Is that her?
Who is it?
Angie Rasmussen?
Yes, Angie. Yes. Yep, that's her.
Okay, I do see her name on here. Okay, I will reach out to her with all these questions that I have written down, and have her get with you, because that is actually outside of my scope. So it's not something that I can actually help you with, but I will pass it along.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, are there any, I'm here and I'm overviewing it, but you see it and you've done a lot of exploration on your own. Have you taken a look at the interactive wall chart?
Yeah.
Have you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of those? I think they're kind of cool.
They are kind of confused about this assessment, because what she showed us.
So I think it's great. Well, the whole purpose of the wall charts are, to increase that conversation, oral vocabulary, talking about it. I just think it's really cool tool that you can have students come up and do on your interactive whiteboard, and then you can type about, what are they doing. You can ask students to give you sentences about what they're doing. She is, or, the girl is painting. So, kind of fun. I like it. Good stuff. Any questions about those?
I don't think so.
Okay, we talked about assessment, entering your results. You can print the materials. You can view reports if you have them. Here are your correlations to your standards. So for Illinois, it has the Illinois Early Learning Standards. Is that what you follow?
Yes.
Okay, so there's just a link to those early learning standards on the page. What else? Anything else?
We do have questions about the assessment piece.
Okay, the assessment.
Okay. So.
That's early childhood inventory?
Yeah, like when you're importing it, it's just giving you those like 4 options, like emerging or developing. But like when we saw it for the first time, and it looks like it was more in depth. Like,
was it the print materials that you looked at?
No, like remember, because we were like, how are we gonna have time to fill all that in? But it was like we wanted like our report cards, we can hit what letters they know and what sounds they know. Like, is it detailed like that, or is it just emerging, developing, and that's how you fill it in?
No, so when I entered the results of that, it was based off of how they did on the assessment. So if they got, so here that's how you fill in. But on the physical form,
the mathematics and vocabulary.
Okay.
Yeah, you're asking them.
So where do you get is that what you want to know, is where you get those vocabulary?
Yeah, and like how, like the assessment piece, like what are you using to get that answers to put in here, not just,
so
is it a rubric or is it just all observations?
No, there's actual, is it not in your print materials? Do you not have the actual form where you're asking them to tell you how many letters out of,
Yeah,
80 or all of that? Do you not have access to all the materials? Do you not have something that includes all of the print materials for the Scholastic Early Childhood Inventory?
So you just print the materials, that's my question.
No, you have it in your.
You should have it.
In your box.
In the big box. I didn't look.
Okay, so is all that assessment in the big box?
Yes, it should be. There should be already printed off assessment pieces.
That's why I was confused.
Okay, so all the assessment is in the big box, but can you also check it online
You
too?
go to social inventory
You
materials.
you can't check it. You can only record it the way that you see it. With the yeah. So you have the child materials right here would be the physical materials, and you have the information on there to ask them, and then on your recording form. But you can only enter those letters. There's no entering the scores, or like you said, tracking of, they know A, B, C, and D, but they still have to learn the rest of the letters. There's no online tracking of that. The only thing that you can digitally enter are those results with the P, whatever those letters are.
But I just thought you could implement them electronically. And
So
then
which
it looks like this.
box are the print materials in?
Give me just a minute and I will look. Can I put you on hold for a sec?
Sure.
Sure.
I think, can you print them also? Like
Yeah.
for kids?
Yeah, when she just showed you that you
Right,
click
like I
on
think-
child.
But do they use manipulatives too? That's what.
That box that they give us is, I
Yeah.
think,
And I wonder if they're.
It's probably on the assessment part of it.
I could go look through and you could go look if you.
I'm sure it's in there.
I just, like I said, when she showed it, that's,
It was all online.
it looked like it was like there, like on.
How did she get to that? Oh, that's the early.
That's on, it's, assessment record.
All assessment tools?
Yeah. Right here, assessment. Enter results.
No, it was print
Print
materials.
materials.
Yeah,
right,
print materials.
And then it comes up with, you can classroom observation guides or individual observation guides, anecdotal records. Clipboard observation guides come up here in English. So you gotta print them out for each one, you print one and copy it. you
Oh,
think?
Yeah.
here.
And there's like a little clipboard per child, which isn't so bad. See, it's like oral language
Like
and then, yeah, well, there's the clipboard
Yeah,
version.
this is the social emotional.
That's a clipboard observation guide, and then the other one's a different one, like it's a individual observation guide, right? Or pre-K 360 record or pathways to readiness, there's 3.
So the one I just showed you is here.
That's the one she's on, yeah.
No, the one I'm on
Where are you at?
is the left, when you hit enter result, or print materials,
Uh-huh.
it comes up in the classroom observation guide, no,
Oh.
individual observation guides. I typed on, or I clicked on it underneath print materials, the middle one, and then individual observation guides come up, clipboard observation guide, pre-K 360 record,
The classroom observation
pathways
guide?
to readiness. Yeah, you go under
Individual
print materials,
observation guide?
the middle one, individual observation guide, and then that gives you 3 options for individual observation guide. So like,
Okay, I went downstairs to look at my kit, and I don't have all of the pieces. But I thought that it was in one of the big, not the big learning box, or the teacher welcome kit. I'm not, because I don't have it. My materials are just like
it's online, it's just that you print
I
them.
know it's online, but I thought you had them in print. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I will find out for sure. I thought that.
Well, one of our, Jade, one of our teachers is running down to her classroom
Okay.
to see if she can find it.
Okay. So my apologies for not knowing that question right off the bat. If we can't get it answered, I will definitely find out for you.
Okay, thank you.
So
What questions do you have?
So my understanding is you use these 3 pieces, the clipboard observation guide, the pre-K 360 record, the pathways to readiness, in order to give you the data to implement into the emergent, progressing bad type thing, right?
actually, the only results that you're actually putting in here that give you that progressing are from the ECI, the Early Childhood Inventory. The other stuff, the anecdotal notes and the classroom observation is more of an informal formative assessment for you. You can input them in here just to have the notes, but the data that makes up all the letters all the way to developed only comes from the ECI. And the assessments are in the Early Childhood Inventory. So if I click here, the other things are the anecdotal notes and the observations. You can put them into that 360, and that just gives you all of it in one place. So the 360 is just a place to record all of your data so you can see all pieces together. And the only thing the only data that you need to get that information with the pre-emerging, emerging, only comes from the ECI. I know it may not make sense to you without actually seeing the ECI. I understand that. And I'm trying.
ECI.
Huh?
I'm in the ECI assessment stat right here, right?
Okay.
And you're having to, in order to fill it out, you're filling out emergent, whatever, you're filling that out. I understand that, but in order to score something, I'm saying, my understanding is you're using those pieces of assessment, like observation, like that clipboard, you're using those pieces in order to get your answer, so to speak, on the, yeah,
To get your, yeah.
right.
The only thing that you need to get that information is the early childhood inventory. The observations are completely separate.
So the observations are more, like for your anecdotal records, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's for your formative assessment. This is the ECI is like your summative. You know, you only do it 3 times a year, beginning, middle, and end of the year. The ECI is the only thing the ECI is the only formal assessment that the program has. Everything else is informal, informative, and does not go into these records here. The records here for the pre-emerging, emerging are only for the ECI that's administered 3 times a year.
Right.
Everything else is for the rest of the year, but they aren't entered. Doesn't give you the information for entering on here. I know, I'm sorry if I'm confusing you.
No, you're fine. I understand how to do it. I totally get that. I'm just saying, in order for you to fill it out 3 times a year, normally we would like pull them and assess them. But with the documentation you have already in place, you'll be able to fill that out.
Once you look at your anecdotal records
Right.
and be able to use that to be able to fill out, especially the ones
But
that,
you can't say emerging if you don't know,
Right.
if you don't have any.
like, what is emerging?
Okay,
What is emerging? Okay.
No, I know.
Within your materials, it gives them a score. Like, so for rhyme, you will get a score out of 6. And that's how I got my information for the students that I entered so the total score for rhyming is, if they get 6 out of 6, they're considered developed. It would be a lot easier if I were like in person and we had all these things spread out and I could show you. I'm trying to find what we need, the main guide that shows you how those translate into the emerging, pre-emerging.
Okay, I'm not sure if I even understand your question.
Okay, so like in order to fill out the early childhood inventory, like you looked at that, the emergent, whatever,
Yeah.
you would sit and do that 3 times a year. Like,
Yes.
pick a kid up, type in there, whatever. But in order to get that answer, you can't just, oh.
No, there is a formal assessment.
I understand how to do it, but my confusion is, so like our report card, in order to fill out that report card, you have to have some evidence to base it off of. You can't just fill it out. So my understanding is those pieces of paper, like the clipboard, all that stuff is going to be used to help you fill out that assessment.
That's your supporting documentation for what you
Yeah.
do with emerging.
That is not correct.
Yeah. And she's saying that's not correct. That's why I'm confused.
That is not correct?
That is not correct. There is an actual formal, and that's what I'm trying to find to show you. In order to fill this out 3 times a year, there's an actual like assessment that you're asking the students, and based on their score on that assessment, it determines. Like, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm trying to find the regular one, but for this one, it's social emotional development. This is the teachers. I mean, yes, you can use that anecdotal data for something like this, because the other ones are like predetermined based on how many rhyming questions they got right out of 6. So for rhyming, they're considered good,
right?
I get that.
Okay.
So that other part piece is just for your own fun record, like.
Yes, it's for daily formative assessment.
If you want to do that.
Okay, but what you're not finding is we're not finding, so can you go into the math piece? So go away from the social emotional and go into one of the math components.
Okay.
And let's,
And that's what I'm trying to get to. Let's do print materials. I think that's going to take me where I need to go.
and by the way, Jade, we don't think that we do get print materials.
Okay. It may just be online. Some of our products do, you may not necessarily need anything but 1 copy. So sometimes we do have them only available online. So that would be my fault for telling you this.
And then on the right side.
Okay, so for for assessment records for mathematics. Let's look at this one.
Okay, guys, pay attention to this. So she's clicking into the mathematics one.
Okay. So
It's easier if you have a student.
they are going to score a child, and they counted to whatever number they counted to in correct order. And then part B, so here's your score down here. Child counted X amount of bears in correct order. Multiply that number times 2 for the score. So score from box A, the total score from box B equals blank for number set. So that score that they get
Determines their emergent.
determines whether they are a P, E, etc. That determines, now, that,
She
I
clicked
do.
on the child print
Did you
materials.
click on this?
I clicked on the students and it shows me the, score record. Now where do I go? Because it's not like that. It looks like this. It looks like the, entering the PBE and D.
Okay.
and that,
Just a second. We're just a second. We're trying to figure some stuff out.
no, you're fine.
Go back to home. I can do it.
Go home and then. Records for each one. That's what we saw that day,
Yeah.
that there was so many. But in order to get your PBD&E, so this is what we will do for an assessment. And then our report cards will then be printing out the PBE&E. We're good with that.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
yeah.
And then other stuff is just extra work to support if you have a child maybe that is,
Like a problem solving.
yeah, the problem solving.
Yeah.
So that would be the extra work. That's where I was confused. I thought that was the material you needed to implement the score, PBD&D, but now I see you do it on an assessment piece right here. I just didn't make that correlation, sorry.
No, that's okay.
And because I'm not able to flip around and show you exactly what I mean, then it made it a little bit harder. Sometimes these webinars are hard for things like that because you can't, it's that in-person interaction is just a lot easier to get to.
Do they give you a recommendation on the 3 times a year? Should you do like your first benchmark right before your first report card? Or should
No,
you
you want to do your first benchmark probably I would think at the beginning of the year because you want to know it's a benchmark. You want to know when they come in day 1, what do they know?
So at September you do that. Okay.
Yeah. And then it's beginning, middle, and end of the year.
Yeah.
So there's not necessarily recommendation for dates, but whatever dates work for you that fall in the beginning, middle, and end of the year. Because these are your benchmark. Everything else is informal. All of your assessment between these benchmarks are considered informal and in the form of the classroom observations, the individual observation guides, and anecdotal notes. Now, I know sometimes you may for yourself use this benchmark more than 3 times a year. If you want to use it at report card time, that's fine too. But it's only structured to record the results digitally 3 times a year. So it really, it's meant as a benchmark, but if you're wanting, I see what you're saying, if you're wanting to use it to actually send a report card home on progress, then you can give it at report card time.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's not date sensitive, so if you plug it in for report card, it will work, because you do 3 report cards.
We would do it like in November, we would do it in February, and we would do it in May.
So even though we recommend a benchmark beginning, middle, and end, you use it how it works for you.
Yeah.
So if we started so if we want to do it right away in September so we can see growth by November, can you implement it in the beginning of the year twice, or does it automatically?
Now, it's what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Right here.
So you can't change anything, and it'll go right to the mid-year.
Yeah.
No, that's
So maybe it sounds tedious, but maybe if we want to do it at the beginning of the year, write it and then only implement it by November, so it prints out like a.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that as a team, yeah. All right. Okay, so I believe we're better now.
Okay. All right, and so one of the things after we had talked about teacher space was we were actually going to go back and talk about assessments. But we've kind of covered a lot of that assessment here. I wanted you to be able to work on, like, so here our next piece was going to be, all right. So we were just going to talk, I was just going to talk to you about downloading some of those print materials that are considered downloadables. And we talked about where you could get those from. You can choose a category. You can view them in Spanish. And then you can print the downloadables and use them for what you want. And then here was what I was going to talk about: the formal assessment, standardized, administered intervals, informal, observational, ongoing. And then there's this chart for your pathways of readiness that shows you your formal, what the purpose is, when to assess, what to look for next steps. And then here's all of your informal, like when you would take your informal, when to assess it, what to look for next steps.
What is that in?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have the professional handbook?
I do. Know what page?
Is it page 11?
No, that's for something else.
Okay.
Materials here, let me look. Assessment is on page 68 is where it starts in the professional handbook. It's page 70 in your professional handbook. And then there's downloadables for your path to readiness, and it comes out as well. And then it's showing you where you can print your path to readiness off at in the individual observation guides. So, okay, so they are only digital. That explains that. So here are your path to readiness provides your guidelines for pre-emergent, building, emerging, and developed. And here's the ECI. We already looked at that online. So the ECI has teacher materials, child materials, assessment records, and then you go here to enter all of those, which we saw already. Class report, once you have all that information, and then the informal observation guides. And that can all be entered into the Pre-K 360, so it's all in one place. Basically, you take the information from the observation guides and put it into a Pre-360 if you want, so that you have all of that in one place to kind of look at the development of the whole child. And then there's, of course, anecdotal records for that. And there's built in within the teacher guides. We looked at that when we were going through the teacher guide, the observations. Remember, we saw those that correlate with those observation guides that are provided. And I know before you use it and looking at the materials without using it, it can be somewhat confusing. I don't think that I'm helping on my end, so I apologize for not explaining that correctly. I really did think that you had some print resources. But maybe I just saw a book that had something else in it. So my bad on that. I apologize for that. Are you still kind of going over and looking at those assessment resources?
A little bit, but
Yeah.
I think we're ready to move on too, if you're ready.
Okay, great. There's not a whole lot left to talk about because we kind of jumped ahead and explored the family space before when we were on there. So this was something, I was going to talk about a little separately, but we kind of did that already and talked about what's available there. It's just highlighting it. We've already done that, so that's why I'm quickly clicking through. So what we have next is getting started timeline. So have you arranged your classroom and sent letters to families?
Got it?
We're getting there. Not all of our furniture is in yet, so.
Did you get new furniture too?
One classroom is totally new, and then a second classroom is getting a lot of new furniture, but not totally all new furniture.
Well, that's exciting. New curriculum, new furniture. When do you get kids?
Like, good, school specialties. What did you say?
When do your kids come?
The kids come a week from Monday.
Okay. Ooh, you guys are coming down to the wire, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
Did I hear that you also do family visits?
Yes, and so kids come a week from Monday, but parents have an open house on Monday.
Okay.
So we're hoping that our classrooms are going to be ready on Monday for parent visit, and then we're doing home visits next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Okay, I love that. We used to do those at our school too, and I thought they were so important. You get to know so much about a kid by being in their home. So great that you do that. This is just a getting started timeline about, these things you already really know. You already reviewed your theme 1, so you're good there. And you might notice when you were looking at your theme 1 that it was a lot different than your theme 3, and that's because that getting ready for school is built in to theme 1, so you might not see as much explicit instruction in learning because that first theme is more, welcoming them to school and getting them adjusted to school. So it does look a little bit different than when the outline that we followed for theme 3 today. So we talked about the daily schedule. I'm sure you have your daily schedule that you're going to do. Do you have that set up based on the big experiences with Big Day for Pre-K? So like what that's going to look like?
Yeah, their daily schedule is pretty set, yeah.
Okay. Now, are they setting it up like Big Day for Pre-K with the 3 big experiences and 2 learning center opportunities, or are you kind of taking the curriculum and adjusting it to your schedule? A little of both? Yeah. Seems to be the norm with teachers do. They, adjust it to fit into your day, obviously.
Right.
I'm sorry?
Our one preschool is only, like, if the teachers teach 2 half days, the half days are 2.5 hours, where, like, your half day is 3.
Oh, yeah. So you do have
to but we
flip a little bit.
We do have a full day that is going to be 6 hours, just like I think yours is 6 hours. So.
And right now, how we tested it, Melissa and I were kind of talking about how using those big experiences, like the 3rd big experience in our center time. So trying to get as much of it as we can.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's always going to include some adaptation to make it workable for you. So everything that's included in a curriculum is usually, just a guide. Here's something, this is the way we set up our experiences and, use it for you and how it helps with you. So this goes through setting up your classroom, but you know how to do that. We're not going to cover that part. This is more for, hey, I've never taught pre-K before. Planning for your big day, we already talked about this. This is kind of what we're talking about now. These are your big pieces, your big experiences, and then your 2 learning center opportunities. Obviously, that can be condensed and rearranged. We get 90 minutes of learning centers here, and that may not be something that you can quite fit into your day. So, like we talked about, you might want to rearrange that, but you could still use the curriculum in different areas, but, just making sure that you're covering all the curriculum in the 3 big experiences is the most important part. So starting theme 1, you've already looked at that, so I don't think we really need to go through your first week. You've already done that, correct? Do you need me to walk through your first week with you, or do you want me to?
No, I think they're fine.
Okay, and I've lost my phone, so I don't know what time it is. It's my only timer.
It's 10:52.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure that I am done and I don't go over and respect your time. Okay, great. So the learning outcomes for today were to understand the big principles, so there's 5 big principles, and to preview all of the program materials, that you feel comfortable navigating those teaching guides, and that you are ready to plan lessons, assess learning, and communicate with families using that teacher space, that digital space, and that you're ready to create a structured and organized classroom for a successful year. Do you feel like that we have accomplished those learning outcomes today?
Sure, yes.
Is there anything else that we haven't done to accomplish those that I can help you with or answer?
No, that's fine.
Other than the things that I have written down that I'm going to get back with you about.
Right, yes.
Anything else that I can do for you to make sure this was a good learning experience and that you feel like you're ready to implement the curriculum?
Lexi, did you have any other questions?
No, she answered.
She answered them? Okay. All right. So you're going to get back with me on a possible login, username and login for my parent coordinator.
Yes.
And then you're going to get back to me about the print materials. We're pretty sure that.
I'm pretty sure they're digital. I'm pretty sure they are too. I think
they're all digital.
all online.
Yeah, okay.
I will clarify, but I'm 99% sure they're online.
Okay.
That was me misspeaking, and I apologize.
And what?
And then what else? I will pass on and ask about family space and uploading photos. I know right now is they're not going to do anything probably within this year, but it's definitely feedback that I can pass on about being uploading the photos to the site.
Okay, that sounds good.
And what I'm going to do is if you do not hear back from me, I'm actually passing this information on to Angie Rasmussen. She's your account executive, and she would be the one that will take care of all of that and look into getting all that for you. So if for some reason you do not hear from Angie, please let me know, and I will follow back up with her.
Angie's pretty good about getting back with me. So, yeah, I'm sure once you reach out to her, we'll hear back from her.
I'm sure you will, too. So I appreciate your time today, and I do apologize for the misunderstanding with the print versus the digital materials. I hope we got everything figured out with the assessment. And the last thing I would do is just ask if you have time to take a quick survey. You can scan it on your phone by the QR code, or you can go to this website, entering the session name and session number and name. I do always strive for strongly agrees and great marks, and if I don't receive them, if you could please leave a comment on why I did not receive high marks so that I can do a better job next time, I would greatly appreciate that.
Okay, Jade, I think we're done, so thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. It was great to meet you digitally, and I wish you a wonderful school year.
All right, thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, guys.